curious is these anchors here on this rock platform. There's a geological survey marker right here, and what we have in reference to these anchors here, this is your typical anchors for top roping for rock climbing, and perhaps this is this area here is climbable, and people actually come up here and climb. So there's a nice crack right there. I could see how people could get in. This is quite an overhang here, so I would say that if it is used for rock climbing, that this bulge here, this overhang, would be quite challenging. And with that said, out here in the, this is a view, and and out here and down below there, this it's called, the locals call it God's Thumb. There's a valley. It seems to encompass this whole area here, and I can go out perhaps to another location. I'm hoping to get some, holy Jesus, and pardon me, and I hope I don't fall. I really should pay attention. It looks like a long way down. These are actually the tops of trees here. So this whole thing is a big round, with the mountains also on my side here. This big circle, this whole depression, and I'm hoping to get better views. But if not, I wanted to shoot this, and we'll see. Perhaps from some other views. But it's very interesting. It's another one of those geological anomalies that this big whole circular depression. So let's perhaps revisit this from another location, and we'll talk more about it. Yeah. And as the mountains crumble to the sea.
Good morning. It's Saturday morning, August 6th, and I slept, well, I'm right here. I stayed at Jenkins Shelter last night. It's a bit messy. Some people did some weird things around here, but just to go back, in the Burke's Garden, I wish that that would be this whole area, this impression right in here that I was talking about yesterday, and I couldn't get a good enough view after that first time to go back and talk about it. But yeah, I would say, as far as mysteries, I think it's just one of nature's wonderful gifts, and it is there because nature created it that way, and there's no mysteries. As probably UFO landings created it, I would say not. Meteor, asteroid, comet, perhaps caldera volcano. You could do core samples to test that, but I would just say that it just lined up that way. And prior to that, the night before that, I stayed over here up the top at Chestnut Knob. It was up on a bald. It was really wonderful. I had met a hiker named Caveman and his dog Captain, which is an amazing dog. I had lost them. They're going into a town to resupply in Bastain, and I'm good back to where I'm at here. And I've got a big day here. I'm pushing on about 16 miles. I'm hiking today over here to Helvey's Mill Shelter, which will be past that interstate there. So actually, the reason why I'm videoing this morning, I thought that in the past I had done various shoots. My backpack and my gear and everything is in compartments, and I thought we would look at one compartment, and this is my first aid kit. And in my first aid kit, because right now I'm doing some I'm putting more and more miles into my hiking sections, that I brought my cell phone my cell phone charger and my camera battery charger as well, just in case I get jammed up and I need a charge somewhere. Perhaps I'm skipping a lot of towns. I'm skipping a lot of places where I could charge something if I needed to. These are my spare batteries for my Sturry pen, my cell phone, and my headlamp. And that's all here. The Sturry pen I just swapped out. This is actually garbage, and I keep them over here, and I'll deal with them right here, and I'll deal with those at a later time. My cell phone, these are my Sturry pen, and my headlamp, the little AAA batteries. So I have those in my first aid kit as well, just to keep them organized, because having everything in these sacks really does work out well. So here it is. This is my first aid kit. In here I have my Q-tips. Now that I have a bounce box, that is, I'm traveling, because I use my Q-tips when I go into town and take a shower. And I have some spare dental floss here. I also have a hygiene bag for toothbrush and shaving and all for those. So I keep, actually on the very top of the inside of my pack is my first aid kit and my hygiene bag. So inside this would be an assortment of Band-Aids, a little bit of gauze, and mostly the Band-Aids for blisters. But thank goodness I've been fairly healthy. I have some gauze tape, and you can pretty much, it's very adhesive, and you could use this for just about anything. I have some antibiotics here, antibiotics, and antibiotics here. And this has been really my biggest problem, is just topical infections from bug bites, and I think they just manifest themselves too. I'm just always wet and always dirty. So this here's been working really well. Bunny gave this to me over in Damascus, and it has tea tree oil in it, so it's more of a natural antiseptic, and I really have enjoyed using it. This is an ACE bandage, and it self-adheses. Tinactin, this is an antifungal gel. Some people call, this is ibuprofen, Advil, this is, some people call it vitamin I. And it's really good for the pain, the sore feet, the sore muscles. It's just, I mean, just think you're out backpacking all day, every day, nonstop, day after day, week after week, month after month. And so sometimes in the late afternoon is really when I feel it, and I got to push myself on. I'll take a few Advil. This is my backup. This is an iodine solution. It's already pre-made. It's and you pour a capful in here to sterilize your water. This is Orgel. This is for a painkiller, a number, in case you have a tooth problem. As you get up in age, you have more things that can go wrong. And this is my multivitamins. I have been taking multivitamins now for a month, and I'll usually take them in the evening time, with supper before I go to bed, and that way my body can utilize. You're not eating really well out here. You're doing the best you can, but you're limited. It's whatever you bring, and you can only bring so much. So I take multivitamins at night before I go to bed, helping my body repair itself with all the proper minerals and vitamins in it. And then I'll take some in the morning time too, to help get me going with my breakfast. These are in a waterproof case, a backup set of matches in case I get jammed up. This, I brought a prescription medication for Gee whiz, it's really starting. Amoxicillin 50 milligrams. This is an antibiotic, and this would be as an emergency in case I get a really bad infection. For instance, my wounds, my topical wounds that have been getting infected. They could get so bad that I could develop a staph infection, and through there I could get blood poisoning, and then from there that could kill you. So if you were in a situation like this or like that, you would definitely want to take a full supply of an antibiotic to cure you there. And in here, what do we have? 5. These are a strong pharmaceutical prescription painkiller called Vicodin. And if you were out there and you twisted your ankle really bad, blew out a knee really bad, and sustained a painful injury, these medications could help you get that sleep at night in order for you to heal or to get you off of your feet, so you can heal, so that you could do a self-rescue and get yourself to medical care at some point. Because remember, you're out here, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and you have to take care of yourself. And granted, you may run into, but this time of year, I hardly ever see anybody. So you really have to take care of yourself. And inside here is just a little, and doing all this by holding the camera. Of course, I didn't bring my tripod with me. But this is a magnifying glass tweezer. Yeah. And it's handy. You can actually build a fire. You can make a fire with this magnifying glass if you need to. And sometimes I needed to read the weather from NOAA on my BlackBerry, because they don't have a magnifying segment on the screen for NOAA, the national in the National Weather Service. And if I have cell phone service or if I have internet service on my BlackBerry, I'll pull up NOAA and get a weather update. And although if you're in the high elevations, sometimes the weather can be completely different than the towns around you. But that's it. This is my first aid kit, and you just never know. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So here it is, one of my packages. That's my 3 food bags over there, and to the right, the smaller one is a small beverage bag where I keep hot chocolate and teas, green teas and herbal teas, and we'll go into the food bags perhaps tonight or tomorrow morning when I'm fresh. I've got a big day today, so it's hard to say how I'll feel. But I definitely wanted to go into my bags, my food bags, and show you, basically what you bring for 6 to 8 days. I'm making my days longer and longer. Soon I'll be out there for 10 days at a time, and gee whiz, this is the last month of my trip, and I'm getting, separation anxieties, knowing that I'll be off trail before you know it. But I am taking one day at a time, and I'm loving every bit of it. So the 3 bags, the reason for the 3 bags is is for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Therefore, I'm not going through all of the foods all the time, handling all of the foods, pulling everything out and this and that to get to one item. They're separated between the 3 meal segments, and it seems to work out well for me. I don't know anyone else who is doing this. I haven't seen, but it just makes sense to me, and that's how I do it. Puma Ghostwalker, and right down below in that small black bit, that's my my story pen. I sterilize the water using UV lighting, killing all the bacteria and protozoa. So we'll get to that at another time.